Hey guys, how's it going? It's the Crypto Analyst here, and I hope all of you guys are having a good morning, evening, wherever you guys are from. And Bitcoin is getting ready for a massive move. So with Bitcoin coming to the end of one of the largest squeezes, if not the largest squeeze that it has ever had in its history, it asks the question, what is going to happen next with the squeeze that is 9 months long with some of the biggest price action that we've ever seen in Bitcoin? What is going to happen when this breaks either to the upside or to the downside? So today we're going to be explaining that, where we believe Bitcoin is going to go, what would be a measured move out of something like this, and everything to come. So if you guys are interested, go and stick around for the video, and do not forget to hit the like and subscribe button, as it does help out the channel a lot. With that being said, let's go ahead and get on into this, because we have a full-on analysis diving into everything here: the pros, the cons, the MACD, the RSI, and some other indicators. So first off, looking just at our candles here, let's talk about just how big this squeeze actually is. So in Bitcoin, we're looking at a price, really just a price evaluation of just over $13,000 all the way down to around $6,000. So this is about a $7,000 from top to bottom squeeze that we're seeing over the course of about 9 months. So going all the way from the beginning of this year to where we're at currently is really just the length of the squeeze, but also the largest price action squeeze that Bitcoin's ever had, and arguably one of the longest as well. So with this coming to an end here, we have our giant, or essentially the big pink line is the one that we're going to be focusing on. All the other ones are really just secondary to what the pink is primary. So of course we have this coming down here, and as we zoom this out, we're seeing, you know, this obvious line of resistance coming all the way down Bitcoin, every time it touching it getting a lower swing high, but kind of keeping this level of bottom ever since, you know, February 18th of this year, February 8th, excuse me, of this year. So keeping this level, coming in here, kind of seeing this as a solid level of support within this area, bouncing it, touching it once, twice, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times now. And what we can see down here is a failed bear rally breaking downwards out of this. You see this, it failed, price action went back up, hit resistance, came back down. So now with all of this coming to an end, we can zoom in here and we can say, all right, this thing only has probably another week or two that it's even possible for it to stay in it. So, you know, let's just say that this thing goes, you know, and it squeezes to the absolute max. Today's the 27th. Let's give it 2 weeks. So probably till around October 11th, October 10th, somewhere over here. That would be, again, a very, very hard and tight squeeze on Bitcoin to be able to keep a price action down here with other support lines. But let's just say best case scenario, it has another week inside of here. What's going to happen? Is it going to break up? Is it going to break down? Well, that's kind of a tricky question, because if you look at analysts right now, I'm sure you guys are seeing people say we're going to 10K next month, and then you probably see people saying that we're going to 2 or 3K next month. So let's break this down, because there is definitely evidence for both. There's evidence that we're going to break out of this. There's evidence that we're going to break downwards out of this. So we have to be looking at all of this from an unbiased perspective, really just looking at the fundamentals of the technical analysis and saying, where does the facts say that we're going to go? Not where do we want to go, because it doesn't care about our feelings, but where does the analysis say that we're going to go? So with breaking this down, of course, Bitcoin's having some nice price volume right now. You know, it's reaching up towards the top of this resistance. Didn't touch it on its last swing high over here. Touched it on the one before that, but didn't touch it over here. Maybe could come up, touch it here, could break out. Again, we're going to dive into that. So here's with all of this being shorted, let us go ahead and move into some of our indicators and oscillators, saying why we believe that this is going to happen. So I'm going to go ahead and switch us over to the daily here. We were on the 4-hour, but let's look at this from the daily. So this is stuff that, again, I've already talked about all this in Patreon. So if you guys are in there, then a lot of this will be recapped. But if you're not in the Patreon, it's a great place to be. And this is kind of the stuff that we do in there. So this is our MACD 1 daily. And of course, we have a great essentially a great pennant on our MACD coming in here, you know, whether you use it or not. So what this shows is it shows that we are getting lower levels of positive volume coming in here, but also lower levels of negative volume all the way since the end of July. So again, this is a pennant on your MACD all the way from July on your daily. It's coming over here. You're seeing essentially triple bearish divergence at the moment, but now you're seeing a failed bear rally, and you're seeing some more bullish divergence. So here you have double bullish divergence, double to triple bearish divergence. But what you are seeing, if we zoom out here on an even larger scale, is that, well, one, this could break either way at this point. I mean, it's a pennant on your MACD, so it's really a 50-50 at this point. It's not even a 40-60. I would say it's, if anything, maybe a 60% chance of breaking down, 40 up, but for the most part, it's pretty even here. I mean, you're seeing both lower levels of positive and lower levels of negative, and is kind of on a collision course, to break out of this. This correlates directly with your candles up here, but one more thing that I've talked about is your oscillator. Seeing consecutive lower levels of negative momentum on your oscillator. Each swing low has been consecutively lower on your oscillators all the way up to where we are today. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then your positive levels have all stayed relatively the same in here. So you haven't really lost too much positive momentum besides the great FOMO, but you've kept your levels of positive while losing levels of your negative. The only exception to this is this little swing high on our last run. So again, something big is happening here. So if you're looking at this is saying, hey, this is bullish. The negative's all coming to an end here. You're seeing this all dry up. We're seeing the bull stay steady. We are ready for some higher price evaluation in Bitcoin. So if you're a bull, you're looking at this, you're saying, hey, I'm liking our chances here because this is a bullish pennant if you look at it this way. Now, if we want to look at this on our RSI, we're seeing something very similar. And then, so we're going to kind of talk about the good things, and then we're going to talk about the bad things. So if we're looking at this on our RSI, we're saying, hey, well, we're seeing lower levels of positive momentum, lower levels of negative momentum, seeing higher lows, lower highs. This is, again, coming on a collision course here. You're going to be seeing you're going to see a pretty large move breaking out of this, just like we saw on our MACD, just like we see on our candle bars. You are having this stuff getting squeezed. You can see the RSI getting squeezed. You can see the MACD getting squeezed. It's not something that's just happening in the candles right now. So again, look at this out from a larger time scale. The daily is pretty significant. So all of this happening on the daily, I would not take it lightly because a massive move is coming, and you can't have something getting squeezed and all of your indicators getting squeezed with it and then just say, it might be a $100 move, right? You're expecting probably at least $1,000, at least $1,000 move out of this. So again, where do we think this is going to break? I mean, it's hard to say. You could be saying that you're seeing, essentially some of the highest highs you've seen since January on your RSI, but now that's fading away again since May. This is on a collision course. Where is this going to break? If we look at this from a candle perspective, we're saying it's going to break down. I mean, personally, I would say that this is a 50 chance, a 50-50. Not a risk I necessarily want to take because I'm not too much of a gambling man. But if we're looking at this like a descending triangle, which it pretty clearly looks to be, we would say that it's going to break down because descending triangles almost always break down. They're not bullish. They're very, very bearish, and they're very, very rarely disrespected, especially one of this size. So here you have, take this what you will, but a descending triangle is extremely bearish. Besides our MACD and stuff looking bullish, we're seeing the candles, the actual candles of our price movement telling us that this is going to be bearish. So if we are going to break out of here, where are we going to go towards the upside? Well, if we're going to go towards the upside, of course, I think we would blow right through 74. I think you'd maybe see a little bit of pullback. You'd probably have around 7,400 with your 200-day EMA, and you'd hit it, get a little bit of kickback, but you'd probably blow through it, head all the way up to at least 8,400 before seeing any real resistance. And then honestly, I think you would head up to 10K before even thinking about turning around. So I think it would be a process of getting up to 10K, but I believe if you do break out of this, you're going to be seeing 10K Bitcoin. Now, if we break down out of it like this descending triangle says that we are going to do, well, I don't think we're going to hit the measured move. I've talked about this before, but we would be heading somewhere around $2,000 to $3,000 on Bitcoin, because if we look at this, that's really where a lot of this support lies, from around $2,000 to $3,000 over here. So this is where you would be seeing some solid support. If you were to break downwards, I don't think you would have yourself at a sub $1,000 Bitcoin. It wouldn't make a lot of sense for me. I think $2,000 to $3,000 is extremely reasonable, and this is going to be our couple of resistance lines. So we have two major, support lines. Of course, if you break down out of this, you're going to be falling right through the first one. So you have your second one down here, sitting at around $4,800, $4,900, and then of course you have all of these candle body closings acting as resistance as well. So it is one of those things where you are torn. You're seeing clear rejection up here. I mean, even with the amount of volume that we just saw on Bitcoin spiking up and hitting this, you're seeing clear levels of rejection on your candles. It's not able to bust through. It hasn't been able to bust through, and it's still not able to. And you're looking at this, you can't help but be bearish. I know a lot of analysts are still very bearish on this market. Some of them are starting to kind of come around, but I know for me and a lot of other analysts, this is a no trade zone right now because this just has so much potential. We want to see more indicators. I'm not saying that it's not going to be a no trade zone until we break out, but it's going to be one of those things where I'm not going to place a trade until I get a little bit more evidence, until the answer looks a little bit more clear, because as of right now, I mean, if you're leverage trading, you don't want to be caught on the wrong end of this run. You know, if you're shorting and it goes up, it's going to be a significant move. You're going to get liquidated pretty fast if you're at any kind of high leverage. So if you are trading here, again, set a stop loss, because this is arguably one of the most important times, because regardless, when this thing breaks out, it's going to be a large move, a very, very large move, one way or the other. You can't have a squeeze that's this large and expect it to kind of just prairie dog out and be like, oh, okay, maybe we'll have a couple $100 price move. No, you're going to see a very large price move from one of the largest squeezes, if not the largest squeeze in Bitcoin history here. And again, expect the altcoins to follow whatever way Bitcoin goes, because that is how it works. That's how it's going to work, at least for the time being. So don't just think all the altcoins are going to stay where they are, or they're going to defy Bitcoin, because if a move like this happens, the altcoins are going to follow Bitcoin in this specific case. So that's going to go ahead and sum up this video, guys. I don't think there's too much else to talk about. I think we actually got through and covered everything. So if you guys did enjoy the video, do not forget to hit the like and subscribe button, as it does help out the channel a lot, guys. And until next time, guys, I will see you guys in the next video. Thank you guys so much.